Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle, and I'm joined by my two co-hosts, Michael Hall
What's up?
and Michael Reed.
How are you guys doing today? I'm doing well as well.
Doing great, but we're also joined by a very special guest, Maurice Hawkins Jr., a Air Force veteran. Thank you for your service, Maurice, and thank you for joining us today on the special night of the Redskins schedule release. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be on tonight's show.
Absolutely, and the first things first I have to get into, because your resume is very, very long and impressive, to say the least. But the one thing I wanted to ask about was the Redskins tweet team. I got kind of a background on it moments ago. Can you please tell the users in Redskins Twitter and Redskins Nation what it's about?
Awesome. So pretty much back in August of 2013, I had the opportunity to go to Redskins training camp in Richmond, Virginia, during their social media day. And I was interacting with all these Redskins fans, and it was just really an extraordinary experience. And this was also right around the same time where the whole name change debate was pretty much white hot in media. You know, there was a lot of tremendous pressure on the Redskins to change the name. And unfortunately, a lot of fans were being trolled online because they were supporting the team. Not that they were making a political statement or anything disparaging to the Native American community. They were just Redskins fans. And they were, a lot of fans were just being accosted about their support of the team. So I kind of had the idea, what would it be like if we had a group of Redskins fans who were positive supporters of the team, positive supporters of one another? And I started using the hashtag Redskins Tweet Team. And, fast forward to 2020, we've hosted several events as a Redskins Tweet Team. We've had members of the Redskins Tweet Team to travel abroad to the London game in 2016.
Wow.
Ever since 2015, we've had an annual meetup, whether that's been at FedEx Field or, if we've gone to a road trip as a group. We use the hashtag constantly. A lot of our members are very savvy on social media. We've had positive interaction with the team. We actually had a story written on us by Zoom, which is the Redskins social media partner.
Oh, wow.
And they did some analytics as far as how effective our messaging was and our interaction and engagement. And we have Redskins tweet team members, across the globe, in England, Germany, France, South America, and we're steadily growing. And the only rule is if you're a positive Redskins fan and you want to share your positive experiences, you can be a member of the Redskins tweet team.
Oh, that's absolutely amazing that you were able to start that during that time where a lot of, I guess, most of the heat around the Redskins name was really suffering everybody around the Redskins, and you're 100% right about that. And bless your heart for starting that, because at least giving people a place to go, a pocket where they weren't being harassed. They could just talk football, and it's amazing that you did that.
Right. Oh, yeah. Thank you. I mean, it was a pleasure. And, I've been a huge Redskins fan since 1983 when they won their first Super Bowl. So, I mean, to be able to create a grassroots movement on a digital platform like Twitter and build some lifelong friendships has been extraordinary.
Right.
Yeah, man, amazing.
It's amazing, especially because, as Redskins fans, we've just been, so beaten into the ground with the products on the field over the last 20 years or so. So it's awesome to have good, just people that are treating each other right and being on social media and can kind of bond together, because we don't, a lot of us get a little bit depressed around the football season. So it's nice to have a safe haven on Twitter.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things about being a Redskins fan, you kind of have two camps of Redskins fans, right? So you have your legacy Redskins fans, people who are going to be Redskins fans regardless of what the Redskins do, win, lose, or draw. 16-0, 0-16, they're going to be there for the burgundy and gold. And then you have your casual fan that's very transactional. Like, as long as the Redskins are winning, they are going to support the team. And the minute the team has some difficulty, then they start to complain and then abandon ship, so on and so forth. And I understand both camps, because we live in a society where it's a results-oriented society. So for a lot of people, why do I spend my money if you're not winning games? And I think now in the social media environment, that sentiment is even, accelerated because people have such direct interaction with the team, media, so on and so forth. So I think what makes the Redskins Tweet Team unique is that we stay positive even when the team is going through a challenging time. Because what I tell people, all the time is that players come and go, coaches come and go, even owners come and go, but the Redskins remain. So that's why I think it's important to maintain a positive standing as a fan and with your team.
Right. And once again, everybody, for those of you listening, it's hashtag Redskins Tweet Team if you want to go ahead and join in on that.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll get a bunch of it. Yeah, you'll get a bunch of interactions from there, and you'll also be able to meet up with Maurice here, like I did, who was able to help me out. And I know he'll extend his hand out to anybody, obviously, at this point. But the reason why we're here today is because it's a Redskins schedule release, everybody. The time is now. No quarantine list. Enough of this, all that COVID talk. It's time to talk to football, baby. And we know for a fact, I know right now that the whole schedule hasn't been released, everybody. We get it. But we have week 1 and week 4 solidified. So for now, that's what we can talk about, but we also have the opponents. So we'll talk about all of the opponents facing the Redskins upcoming this season. So let's get started, baby. Week 1, going against Philly, and it's going to be at home. Mike Hall, I'll go to you first. Do you think that Redskins Nation is going to show up for that home game against Philly?
Giving the whole social distancing thing is uplifted and they can actually have fans there. I believe that with the whole coaching staff, the new coaching staff coming in, and the whole franchise kind of be reinvigorated this new season, I think they'll come out, and obviously it's the home opener, and the home opener usually gets a big turnout. But as far as like the support for the team, I think that it'll be pretty big on the first game of the year, because a lot of people have like a lot of high hopes for Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio and this whole coaching staff. And I just think that week 1, 2020 against Philly, Redskins Stadium will be packed if coronavirus lets us.
So I'm not sure about packed, but I do think it's going to be better than it was last year, especially later on in the season. I think that this team is re-energized. I think the Redskins social media team has done an incredible job of being able to turn around the energy that was on social media because of what went on last season. That was probably one of the lowest of lows that I've been around as a Redskins fan. But seeing such a quick turnaround, I think it will be better than it was late last year, but I don't think it will be packed. I think we still have a little bit of road to go. What about you, Maurice?
I think that it will be, I agree with you. I think it'll be better. I don't think it'll be packed. I think the Redskins are on their way, but I think that there's still a buyer beware sentiment with a lot of Redskins fans. So I think there are people who are ready to jump back on, but they need to see some success. Now, if I had some say with the Redskins marketing staff as far as how they should market the team, I would use hashtag defend the DMV. And what I would do is that I would feature all of the players who have local connections to the DC metropolitan area. So that would be Chase Young, that'd be Dwayne Haskins, that'd be Jonathan Allen, any player,
Sean Davis.
Yeah. So any player that is a homegrown talent from the DMV, I would put hashtag defend the DMV, and I will put them on the Redskins yearbook. And the whole mantra is that we're going. When I watched the draft special that the Redskins were from, and Wale was on there, he was saying this year was going to hit different. So I think by saying hashtag defend the DMV, feature those players with local connections, and I think get the local buy-in, just like you would do if you had a college player that was a great high school player. I mean, to that degree. But I think that as far as the Philly game, it'll be better, but not where it should be.
Right. Yeah. And I completely agree. I think that'd be a fantastic idea. We've talked about it before on this show. That's one of the perks of them bringing in guys that care about the team and that want to play for the Redskins and that grew up in this area. They know how serious people around here take it. So I think that would be perfect for them to kind of use that to their advantage. I think that it'll be a very good turnout, assuming that we're allowed to. I think that the Redskins fan base kind of re-energized almost. I know that they're coming off of a bad season, terrible season, but I think that they have a lot to look forward too. I think people are a lot more excited than they have been in recent memory. Really, this is the most excited I've seen Redskins fans since kind of the 2012 season with RG3. I mean, this is getting Chase Young and him coming up here, one of the best defensive ends to come out in God knows how long. It's been getting a respected coach like Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio. I think Redskins fans are excited, but I do have to agree with you guys. I don't think it's going to be fully packed with burgundy and gold. I think, of course, you're going to have a lot of Eagles fans, and it's not going to be packed to full capacity.
Yeah, but at this point, we're used to it. I mean, Philly, I mean, it doesn't.
Anything's better than last
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter with
Right.
Philly. I really don't care what Philly does. They can do whatever
Right.
they want down here. I really don't care.
Yeah, that's what I meant by like packed, not like packed as in like
Oh,
all
yeah.
Redskins fan.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
got
like
you.
it,
Right.
not like 50-50, more like a 60-40 split,
Yeah.
where it's like it hasn't been that in like a while from like
Right.
Redskins fans. So
One thing though, don't you think that this is what the third time in the last 4 years that the Redskins have faced the Eagles in Week 1?
Yeah.
Isn't
like
it?
that, yeah.
It's just getting a little bit redundant. It's getting a little bit ridiculous. I hate playing Philly. Carson Wentz has been tearing us up as of late, but he's going to have his hands full with a very stout Redskins defense this year.
I agree.
Yeah, and look, in 2009, I believe it was, I was at the season home opener against the Dallas Cowboys, the infamous game where Tony Romo threw that touchdown pass to Des Bryant, but Brian Arakpo had gotten held on that play, which gave the Redskins the victory. So you're absolutely right, Reed. I mean, I'm tired of seeing the Eagles. I like the whole NFC East rivalry being the opener because then, you have the extra pressure added along to it. But when it's the same team over and over again, it kind of just rubs you a different way, I guess you could say. You get tired of it. But one thing I will say, the Redskins, I hate to say it, but the Redskins, for some reason, always play the Eagles better in Philly. I don't get it. I don't understand why it is the way it is, but every time Philly comes here, it just seems like they just have a comfortability with playing in D.C., but I think the Redskins have a very good chance of winning this game, and I think they're going to start off 1-0, and they're going to surprise a lot of people.
I think part of the reason why the Eagles perform better here than they do probably at the Link when they play the Redskins is that they have had, for the past couple of years, they've had such a ridiculous fan presence at the game. I mean, like, I've gone to some of those games, and it's just absolutely ridiculous, the level of Eagles fans that come to FedEx. And then Eagles fans are in a separate category themselves. I mean, they're subhuman. Their intellect is really low. They don't know how to behave. They're not normal people.
Blood sugar's low.
Whenever you have a jail in your stadium, that kind of lets you know what kind of people you're dealing with. So, and I think that's one of the reasons why they're just not good people when it comes to our stadium.
I mean, whenever you win a Super Bowl and your first reaction is to eat horse poop, then I think that kind of says a lot about
exactly. I said when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, was the equivalent of like Resident Evil when Umbrella City fell, and the virus was released. That was Philadelphia.
Right.
Philly is a gross city, a city of brotherly love, and they just don't have any love for anybody.
You know, you're a terrible fan base when a professional basketball player from your city beats your ass because you decided to bring the coffin of Sean Taylor to the tailgate, and then he got mad and jumped up there and started fighting you guys. I mean, that just tells you about your fan base right there. You do not disrespect the dead, dude. You do not.
I think the Eagles are definitely an outlier.
Yeah, they're a little bit different than most fans. But one thing that was rumored last night and earlier this morning was that I forget who reported it, but that the rumor was that every team is going to face their out-of-conference games, the first 4 games of the season.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem to be the case. It seems like that was just straight up made up, as evidenced by the Redskins playing the Eagles in Week 1. So I don't know where that started. I don't know.
But I thought we were playing the Ravens. I thought there was a possibility the Redskins were playing the Ravens in Week 4.
We are playing the Ravens Week 4. They're saying that we're going to weeks 1 through 4. Each team was going to be playing their entire.
Okay. I got you.
So like we would face the Bengals, Browns, Ravens, Steelers.
Well, I wonder if it's weeks 2 through 4 then. It makes you wonder if that's the case because the Ravens are Week 4. And speaking of, that's the next game that we know about. So it's going to be an exciting one, to say the least. And the Redskins' newest acquisition, the first-round pick, Chase Young, he's going to have his hands full, like the rest of the defense, Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne, trying to face Lamar Jackson and this Baltimore Ravens offense in Week 1. Week 4, how do you guys think the Redskins are going to do in that game? I don't think it's going to be a bloodbath like probably everyone is going to expect.
Right. I think that this is going to be really the measuring stick so we can really see where this Redskins defense stands. I mean, the Ravens offense last year best offense in the NFL. Lamar Jackson's a reigning MVP. He's done some things that we've never seen before on a football field. And Chase Young said it himself. They asked him who he wants to sack the most. He said he wants to sack Lamar Jackson. He's going to get his chance there in week 4. And I mean, the Ravens, their offense would match up very well against our defense. You know, I mean, that offensive line against this defensive line, Lamar Jackson, just the playmakers that they have, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a real chance for us to see where we are as a defense. And we better be ready to play, because that boy can play. That entire offense is stacked.
Dude, Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio, they're going to have their homework to do that week.
But
Maurice,
if anybody can figure it out.
Right. Hey, so Maurice, do you think that they're going to have a chance in that game against Lamar?
We got to see how the defense crystallizes by that point. I mean, Lamar Jackson is like a different dude, right? Like, he's not like your normal quarterback. I mean, that's like playing Black Panther. You know what I mean? That dude, that dude is super fast. I mean, he has Michael Vick level speed. He has world-class speed. He has a cannon for an arm.
And the face of a feline. He's an odd-looking guy.
He's like a Thundercat. I don't know. Different kind of dude. So, I mean, I think the key thing with Lamar Jackson is containment, right? So I think if they can keep him in the pocket and he does not become a threat outside of the pocket, because he can kill you with his arm or his leg. So he's not one-dimensional. And I think a lot of people misread Lamar, because when he's at the podium, he's not necessarily the most polished presenter. Right. So like a lot of those little dispersions kind of weave in there about him, but he's a formidable football weapon. And that's a significant. Any team that faces him, that's a significant challenge. So we'll have to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
So, Hall, do you think that they're going to have a chance? I mean, Maurice is absolutely right. We have not seen anything like Lamar Jackson. Michael Vick could not play quarterback when he came into league. He was strictly a runner. Lamar Jackson came in and was able to do the read option every single week, and nobody could stop it. Even going back to the Miami Dolphins, when they started the whole Wildcat, people caught on after a while. With Lamar Jackson, it doesn't seem the case. Do you think the Redskins are going to find a formula to defend Lamar Jackson by then?
I don't think like a formula, just because Greg Roman is going to just keep evolving this offense going forward, like he has been doing for the past couple of years, and like he's done in previous places, 49ers, Kaepernick, the Bills with Tyrod Taylor. But it's about stopping the run for sure. And I think that with that new front seven that we have, as far as how much gelling time they can get in before that week 4 game, I don't think they're going to be able to completely stop the run, obviously, because no one's been able to just completely stop them. But I do think that if they can contain them to maybe like under 150 yards rushing, which sounds like a lot, but for the Ravens, that's like a normal day at the office. If they can just maybe contain them in the run game, anything can happen. But I would chalk it up as maybe a close loss that week in week 4.
Yeah, and I think that would be a victory in itself. I'm sorry. Yeah. What were you saying, Reed?
I was about to say, one thing is you're right. It does seem like every year that there's some sort of offense that seems unstoppable, the following year they have a very tough time. You look at RG3 and the Shanahans the following year, they couldn't run the same offense, granted, but the Wildcat, it was great for a season. The next season, NFL defensive coordinators caught up to it. So it'll be interesting to see how Jack Del Rio and Ron Rivera kind of game plan against an offense like that. But I think you guys are all completely right. Lamar's a different animal. And let's flip sides to that Ravens defense. What is going to happen with Earl Thomas?
Reed, you had to bring that up.
I had to. Of course I did. What is the thing with his brother? Where did that come from?
Yeah, that was out of left field.
Dude, I'm telling you, that went right over my head.
I'm not that close with anybody, let alone my brother.
He has the winner of the Whose Man Is This Award of 2020.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, like that is doing. That is so bizarre. Yeah. And you hear that, and
quarantine affects everyone differently.
Exactly. Blame it on the Rona. On the Rona.
I don't think they were socially distancing in that house.
That sounds like an R. Kelly video. I mean,
right. He made the undersell of the year when he was like, "It's my business, these type of things happen." And we're like, "No, it doesn't."
No, they don't.
No, this doesn't happen. Your wife should never pull a gun on you when you're having an affair with your a girl and your brother or something? What are you doing?
You know what those type of scenarios happen in the adult film industry. Okay,
Right.
That's a porn scenario. That's not
Yeah.
from NFL player.
Sounds
I
like
don't want
something off of Maury.
right. I don't even want to meet a female that's only down for that.
But-
like, okay, no, I'm good, dude.
One thing that on a serious note that will be interesting to see, I think, is the Ravens are one of the only teams in the NFL that kind of have a no nonsense policy where, because after the Ray Rice situation, they kind of had to, so they don't put up with it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Earl Thomas. I mean, he's the one who got a gun pulled on him.
I was going to say, he was kind of the victim in this situation.
He
is, but he's in the situation. And if they have a zero policy rule about it, maybe they'll be like, you're cheating on your wife, dude. What are you doing? I don't know. They shouldn't. I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't think it's. See how that plays out.
Yeah, I don't think it's the Ravens' business to be getting involved into his marriage and having it affect his job. Right. But I do say you have a point because there is their no tolerance policy. But I would imagine it has to be in the form of like an aggressive or it kind of like you are directly involved with that gun being brought there. He had no idea it was there until it was put against his head.
Right.
Could you imagine that he ends up losing his job, losing his wife, being a lot closer to his brother than he should be, and he's just like
I mean, that's like, I think the wife is definitely gone. I mean,
right.
They arrested her. Like he was like, no, please lock my wife up. I insist.
Yeah. Right. And now I'm gonna go finish up. I'll be back, officer.
You got this? You sure you got her this time? Sure you got her? But I just want to let you guys know, I did get the Zoom update for 10 minutes about a minute ago. So we have about 8 minutes left. But the one thing I did want to say in regards to the Ravens matchup with the Redskins this season, Chase Young is incredibly gifted and athletic. He is very good out in space, and he's very good against the edge of the line of scrimmage. And against read option, which he faced in college, he actually did a very good job of being able to stop the read option and then moving to the running back or the quarterback based on who got it. So I think Chase Young on one side of the field, I think fixes that issue. And so if there's any team that's going to face the Ravens in the first month, I think the Redskins have the best chance to beat them.
Right.
I think having athletic players, especially at defensive end, like Chase Young and Montez Sweat definitely helps. But Chase Young, a lot of times I did see him going back and watch the film. He did struggle a little bit with the option when he just all of a sudden committed to one thing and messed up. But he did have times where he read it very well. So it really just, I guess, depends. It's going to be very interesting to see, though, because you bring up a good point. That athleticism from those ends against Lamar, it's going to be fun to see.
Yeah, and that's not even bringing up Montez Sweat and his long arms and long body frame. He is also very good out in space.
4.4 speed.
Yeah, running a 4.4. He can obviously go sideline to sideline. So I think the biggest question is up front and through the middle, and that's where the linebackers come in. And look, I think that's going to be a battle, and I think we're going to be very impressed by the Redskins team by the end of that game because I feel like Ron Rivera is what the Redskins needed in a mindset as an organization and as a team. Because it just gives them a direction, it gives them an identity. It almost seems like with Jay, they always just didn't have an identity. It was just a goofball, you know? And so with Ron Rivera, he brings a toughness, and it almost brings like a brick wall kind of attitude, like, you know, we're coming to kick your ass. And I think that that's going to be a great thing to have going against Baltimore Week 4 because they possess that same thing.
What I like about Ron Rivera is he's not a coach that comes in here with all this pageantry about his system, right? So, like we were basically beaten to a pulp the entire Jay Gruden era of how great of an offensive line Jay Gruden was, which I would buy if we were like challenging for division titles and we were playing in an NFC championship, you know, not even make the Super Bowl. But I don't, you know, I don't see that. We didn't see that from Jay, that he was worthy of that kind of admiration about his offensive mindset.
Oh no, without a doubt.
Ron is like, I'm a football coach. I want to win. I was sold when I saw that clip from the locker room, the unedited one where you just heard all the F-bombs. Like, I want my coach to talk to the players that way. To keep them fired up and keep it 100. And I think what I've always said about Redskins fans is that we don't need all this glitz and glamour. We don't care about an offense. All we care about is the win. Right? If it's 3-0, it's a win. I'll take it. And that's what I like about Ron Rivera. And I agree he's going to bring that toughness to the team.
Yeah. And having somebody like Ron who's just so well respected in the league, and you hear his former players talk about it, and all they can do is just talk about what an amazing guy he is, how much they respect him, how much they love playing for him.
Mhm.
Getting that into a locker room based on what we've seen for the last 20 years or so, it's going to be, I think it's going to be huge. I think that Ron Rivera is going to completely change this Redskins franchise around. I hope. I don't know. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but I think if anybody can, he's the guy to do it.
Yeah, and so, Mike, before we progress any further, I want you to go and list the opponents that the Redskins are going to be facing this season. And then to wrap up this episode, we have 4 minutes left. We'll go around the squares, and we'll see what we think the Redskins' predictions will be. I know we have kind of what we think already, but if you can, read them off real quick, who the Redskins facing in 2020.
All right, so our home opponents, in no order, obviously, we have the Eagles, Giants, Cowboys, Seahawks, Rams, Ravens, Bengals, and Panthers. And then for the away opponents, Cardinals, 49ers, Steelers, Browns, and Lions. That 49ers game has to be circled on people's calendars.
Yeah. I think that I'm going to start this off for you guys, and I think that this is a 500 ball club or better. I know that those opponents sound really good, but right, I think as of today, I heard that they have the 5th easiest schedule in the league. And given that they just had the best player in the draft, I think this can be in with the mindset brought by Ron Rivera. I think this is a team that can come back and actually can contend for a playoff spot, possibly in the wild card. What about you, Reed?
Yeah, every year you see a team go worse to first, just about. It's going to be interesting. You never know what's going to happen. Of course, that's the toughest schedule thing, or the fifth easiest schedule thing. That's based on last year's winning percentage. These teams made a lot of moves. You look at the Cardinals. The Cardinals added DeAndre Hopkins. They should be much improved with Kyler in year 2. The 49ers, even though they lost Joe Staley, they ended up getting Trent Williams. They're going to be just as good, if not better. The Browns solidifying their O-line. So it's going to be tough. I would say that we should finish somewhere around 6-10, 7-9. I would hope so. I don't think we will finish 2-14 like some of these other analysts are predicting.
I agree. What about you, Maurice?
I'm gonna go for a solid 9-7, so one game above 500, and hopefully we can sneak in for a wild card, maybe win the division. I think the one thing that we need to think about, like, we're gonna have that 7th team in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So that gives us an opportunity to get into the playoffs. So, like, if we had that playoff format last year, the Steelers would have made the playoffs.
Yep.
So that's just something to think about. But I think, 9-7 is a good start. But I think, I always try to break the season up into quarters. How do we do in quarter one?
Right.
Right.
We should be at least 2-2 after the first 4 games. And if we're 1-3 or worse, then okay.
And, right.
Yeah.
And that's where we got screwed last year with a very tough first 5 games.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Hall?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with all 3 or 4 of you guys. I think there's going to be around. I think it's going to be. Oh, there's 3, yo. I'm looking at the top. Yeah, I'm going to agree with all 3 of you guys. I think it's going to be around a 7-9 to 9-7 win team. I think we had 3 wins last year, and I think with the addition of the new coaching staff, Chase Young, Kendall Fuller, the offense hopefully taking a bigger step than they did last year, that'll equal out to maybe 3 wins just by themselves. So that puts you at 6 wins. And you got to think that, like, they're not going to lose every division game next year. So you got to I give them 2 or 3 division wins. So that puts you at 7 to 8, 9 wins right there. So 7-9 to between 7-9, 9-7, I think. And definitely, like you said, pushing for that wild card spot, 7th spot. And
yeah, you guys are absolutely right, and I agree with you guys. The Redskins are a good team, and I think Ron Rivera agrees with us as well. All right, everyone. Well, I appreciate you guys for joining us today. I'm sorry that we have to cut this a little bit short for you, but, I mean, we just recorded last night, so I apologize. But, Maurice, I appreciate you coming on as a special guest for us today. You did a great job.
Appreciate that, man.
Thank you. It's been
got to do it again.
It's been delightful. Hey, I'm just 1 tweet away.
Absolutely.
I'm going to do it right after this. I'm
1 tweet away. HPR Redskins tweet team. Let's get it.
Absolutely. Remember, # Redskins tweet team, everybody. All right. Thank you so much for watching the Burgundy Zone. I'm Kyle.
I'm Mike.
I am also Mike, unfortunately.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a good night. Redskins football. Woo!
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 Audio Jungle.